right up and see the savage wolf girls of India, the magnificent mono grande of South America, the roasting robots of another time, the humans who are never quite fully mapped as human. Step right up and learn the secrets of the ancient cartographers. See dancers from across the world practice their magical craft. Watch truth unfold and refold itself again in compact form. See what you always thought you knew so well turned into something else. Watch the red and the blue states melt into a pot that never really was. See the dark gash of a black wound across America's heartland and find the map that is hidden behind the picture of who you are. Step right up, here where the old world meets the new world, where the land meets the sky, and reflections are the maps in which we live.
You have always wondered, how does a map differ from a picture? How does a map differ from the territory? How do I differ from everything else that has been mapped and could be mapped? Step right up, step right this way and see the human body as it is mapped. See the human body twist and contort, dancing the blurry borders of its social construction, our future mapped out in our hands, our past mapped out through our feet. Tonight, for one night only, see the past and the future unfold. Travel with us without leaving your seat. Travel to the corners of a cornerless world. In the Hindu world, there are 8 directions, each of which has been assigned a deity to provide protection and order to that corner of the universe. In India, the Bharatanatyam dancer begins her performance with the Navashandi Kathuvam, the song of 9 places. The dance is a salutation, marking a beginning in a cyclic period that has no beginning. The poses the dancer strikes are rare and used only for this occasion that opens a processional. Her feet pound out the rhythm of the universe. Her hands and body become gestures of cosmic cartography, praising Brahma, the creator, at its center. As the map unfolds in each of the 8 directions that surround here, it is said that our thoughts manifest themselves as music. Watch as it unfolds around you. Step right up and hear the tale of how on September 1920, Reverend J.A.L. Singh set out into the Indian night to kill the Manush Baga, the man-ghost of the jungle. The creature, it was said, had the body and limbs of a human, the face of a ghost. The villagers warned the Reverend that it was a hideous beast, possibly not of this world, and that no one was safe in the jungle. Part human, part animal, part who knows what, but supernatural to be sure, they assured him it was a reason to travel in groups, to be certain to be home before dusk turned into night and the beast awakened, hungry. Reverend Singh, more curious than frightened, suggested constructing a platform in a tree in order to have a vantage point from which to shoot the beast, but the villagers wanted no part of it. By early October, though, he had finally found someone to lead him to a place where they had had several sightings, to a white ant mound near Gadamuri, to a site where the locals told stories of a creature that raced through the night, haunting the countryside. Singh and his party set up camp near the ant mound, and they began their vigil. The short wait was soon awarded. The first evening, 3 wolves tentatively made their way out of the ground, squeezing through large holes in the mound. They were followed by 2 wolf cubs, and finally, 2 white creatures, the man-ghosts, which Reverend Singh immediately recognized to be 2 female human children. Singh persuaded the group to hold their fire as the wolf family disappeared into the jungle. Visibly shaken, the party disbanded and headed back to the village in spite of the Reverend's assurance that he had solved the mystery and is pleased to remain and help excavate the mound. After the close encounter with the creatures, no one, in fact, would stay with Reverend Singh, and he was forced to search for a new party of men from a tribe far away, unacquainted with the ghost story. 1 week later, he returned with his new group and began the dig, hoping to capture what he now believed to be the 2 feral children, human girls raised and cared for by a wolf family in the middle of the Indian wilderness. With the first few strokes of the shovel, 2 male wolves emerged from the mound, ran past the diggers, and were enveloped by the jungle. Next, a female wolf appeared, and Singh knew right away that she would be the greatest obstacle to securing the children. Even as the party shouted and threatened her, she remained on the mound, baring her teeth and growling at the diggers. It soon became clear to everyone that she was prepared to make a stand. She was not going to abandon her home and her family so easily. In his diaries, Reverend Singh explains, "In the meantime, the men pierced her through with arrows, and she fell dead. After the mother wolf was killed, it was an easy job. I threw one of the sheets on the ball of children and cubs and separated one from the other. We gave the cubs to the diggers. They went away happy and sold them in the market for a good price, but I took charge of the 2 human children." Reverend Singh named the girls Kamala and Amala. Kamala was approximately 8 years old, Amala 18 months. After their capture, the girls went to live with the Reverend and his wife at their orphanage, but their time there was relatively short. Amala lived less than a year. Kamala, stronger and a bit more resilient to the shock of enculturation, managed 9. Reverend Singh was worried about how the human girls were not using their bodies in a human way. They'd been occupied by the bodies of animals, he worried, and the Singhs were especially bothered by the corns in the knees and the palms of the hand near the wrist, which Amala and Kamala had developed by walking on all 4s. After scrubbing and treating the corns with boric acid, Reverend Singh cut the girls' hair and washed their bodies several times, struggling to remove layers and layers of dirt. A cleansing and a transformation of the body had begun, but Singh soon discovered that it was an appearance only. The bodies of the girls were inherently different. They looked like human children again, but for their jawbones. The jaws had undergone some sort of change in the chewing of bones. They could sit on the ground, squatting down, but they could not stand up at all. They had a powerful instinct and could smell meat or anything from a great distance. Their hands and arms were long, almost reaching to their knees. The nails of the hand and foot were worn on the inside to a concave shape. They used to eat and drink like dogs. They could not walk like humans. They went on all 4s, and they used to sleep by pigs or dog pups, overlapping one another. Indeed, the girls preferred to keep their bodies close in this manner, sometimes even when not sleeping. When Amala died, Kamala touched her face and clung to her body in the coffin. She cried 2 tears, and for the next 6 days sat in a corner, moving only to smell all of the places that Amala had frequented. Left alone, though, Kamala soon began a strict regime designed by the Singhs to help her use her body in a human way. She learned a few words, raced around on all fours, preferred the company of dogs to humans, and frightened the other orphans by prowling at night, sniffing and growling near their beds in the moonlight. She was unappreciated, though the center of attention, and unhappy, though finally once again among her own kind. Her body and her mind had the traces of a blurry boundary mapped between the human and the animal. She contorted herself into animal and other supposedly non-human poses. Imagine non-human poses. The lines and the borders of the human body. The human body becoming a cobra, becoming a locust, becoming a dog, becoming a tree. One of the lessons of yoga, and I refer here not merely to the set of learned poses, but to the entire Eastern philosophical stance, is the sense in which borders are always blurry, and yet we can still achieve stillness and calm. Imagine becoming a cobra. Becoming a locust. Becoming a dog. Becoming a tree. Let me invite you to join Tommy in his tree pose. If you're sitting down and you'd like to participate with us, that would be great. Stand up for a moment and just give it a quick try. Mimic Tommy's leg and his arms. Mimic him in the same way that Amala and Kamala mimicked the wolf family, the same way you once mimicked your human parents. Stand on one leg and try to keep your balance. Hold this pose. It's not necessarily hard, though there are tricks to help you. Focus on a point in front of you that is still and unmoving. Keep your mind there, even as you listen to me. If you think about your life, if you think about the worries you have outside of sight unseen tonight, what you're going to have to eat later, if you can meet your bills at the end of the month, if you think about this, you're going to fail. Don't do it. Keep focused on what is still and sure. Keep your mind focused and balanced. And now, close your eyes. Why does almost everyone fall? Because the mind is incapable of providing its own still point, its own center of calm, at least without a great deal of training. We are caught up in what we think is the here and now, but this is never the case. We always project ourselves into the there and the then. When it's not ordered and disciplined, the mind seems to be apart from the body, betrays it. When it undergoes yogic training, it's said that the dualisms of Western metaphysics begin to disappear. Borders get blurry. We occupy the still point that we no longer fear, where the lines between wolf and tree and human are only faintly drawn. Step right up. Meet the wolf girls of India. Meet Kamala, who was no longer here. She was there. The body plays an important role in our understanding here. The ease with which Reverend Singh separates animal traits from human traits in the girls is clearly suspect. It's also important to acknowledge the degree to which the body is a social construct, and the way in which this fact is evidenced by Singh's commentary. What accounts for the girls' bodies seeming so inhuman, if in fact they're genetically human, the offspring of human parents? Singh and most commentators suggest a series of mutations, adaptations to the environment that erode the humanity of the body. In other words, what began as a human had become animal. Restoring their humanity involved reshaping the body. What is a typical human body? What are the lines of a typical human pose and posture? The legs of Amala and Kamala were said to be inhuman, and the arms especially present a biological mapping problem. If in fact they were elongated, hanging to their knees, it's hard to explain how such a change from human arms to more simian arms took place. Would arms grow longer if we used them to walk? Mutations such as this cannot be accounted for by an appeal to simple adaptation without admitting that the body is neither naturally human nor naturally animal, but rather whatever becomes most appropriate for the context. In this sense, this is what Darwinism is all about. The body for Darwin is an environmental construct, never stable, never finished. Evolution, though, in its slow process, will not admit the possibility of major changes so quickly. Furthermore, evolutionary change is from generation to generation, not within a single organism over a few years. An environmental construct is context relative, but this answer will not help explain Reverend Singh's observations and his worries. The wolf girls' bodies are unfamiliar, yet like our own, there is a crisis. In fact, the great Swedish taxonomist Linnaeus, of whom the Swedes still say, God created, Linnaeus classified, was so disturbed by feral children that he separated them on the pre-Darwinian biological tree, the map of our family, as Homo ferus. Perhaps Reverend Singh's insistence on the animal bodies Kamala and Amala had acquired was an attempt to understand their otherness and reaffirm his own humanity. Perhaps Linnaeus's classification fulfills a similar end. What is clear is that the comfortable fiction of the human-animal dichotomy and the notion of a strict definition for human and animal are threatened by feral children. And as we move across the globe, it only gets more confusing. Tango, like all dance, is about the occupation of space by the body. We know that the dance began in Argentina as a stylized fight between men who outnumbered women 5-1 at the turn of the 19th century, as they danced together, men dancing together on the streets of Buenos Aires. Feet flew in ganchos, hooked legs and knees pulling bodies together, forcing bodies to the ground, keeping bodies in time. The dance, in part, is a struggle for space. Today, the man leads, and the woman becomes, at times, but an obstacle. She attempts her moves, slides into a common space, and is blocked by the man's foot. They compete and they quarrel, but they discover something new as well, something in the spaces in between.